This is Paul Roundy creating the video model for the Moon Phases project for week 4 of basing a classroom on inquiry-based teaching, or title something like that. There you see Jericho, my son, running by, who helped me place all of my dates. And here you see Elijah, who's playing the part of the moon today. So the lantern that we have up here is our sun, okay? The center of the room here, where I will be standing, is the earth. And then you'll notice all around the step here, we have dates put down for the dates that I saw the moon. So as I ask Elijah to move, he'll move to each one of the dates that have been carefully set out. Jericho and I very carefully moved them so that when I looked at the moon, I saw the phase that I had seen on that day. In a perfect world, I would have a telescopic lens that would point 180 degrees both directions. As it is, my field of vision here is somewhere around 30 degrees, which is significantly limited. It'll make it difficult to accurately simulate the sun rising and the sun setting. So I will just announce verbally when the sun is directly to the left of me, which would be when it would be rising, and then it would be up this whole time, would hit noon right here, and then as it spun, when it sets it, and once again it's directly to the right of me, we would have sunset. For the purposes of this experiment, I'm going to assume that those times are approximately 6 p.m. and 6 a.m., and I am also going to ignore for this particular activity the tilt of the Earth, assuming that it is moving directly around. We have 12 hours of sunlight and 12 hours of nighttime. The other thing to note is that as I made my log, which I'll get a better photo of to attach with the document, the pictures of the moon that I added to it, as you can see, are all based with the top of my head pointed towards Polaris, because the way I am modeling the solar system, the Earth, Sun, Moon system here, I am setting it up as though the North Pole is directly up. In other words, Polaris is up that direction, way up there, whereas the sun is over there. And so that way it models exactly what I saw. So here's the first phase of the moon. The first phase of the moon here, as I zoom in, you can see right there. Please hold that still, Elijah. Jericho, could you please sit still? And I saw this at 10 p.m. on the 14th of February. It was 10 degrees above the eastern horizon. Okay, so at 10 p.m., I would technically be looking kind of over in this direction. Once again, here's the sun. The sun sets about here at 6. We keep going to about 10, and the moon is over this way, where it would be about 10 degrees above the horizon. But once again, because I've got a narrowed angle on my camera, we have to turn a little farther to be able to see it. Okay, and so there it is. You can see the shape of this moon is a gibbous shape. We have on this side here, we have the full semicircle. But then because part of the moon over here on the right, please hold that still, part of the moon over the right is in shadow, the curvature from the top to the bottom is an arc that's not a complete circle if you're looking at the lit portion of that. Okay? Then we went around one more time. This is now the 15th. There's noon on the 15th. Here's midnight on the 15th, getting to 12:07 a.m. Could you please move to the 16th, Elijah? And the 16th at 12:07, over to the side over here, I was able to see 20 degrees above the horizon, this moon, okay? And here we see, once again, a waxing gibbous. We see the full semicircle on the left side of the moon, and we see the arc separating the light from dark on the right. And that is a gibbous shape. Because the moon was getting smaller, at this point I realized it was a waning gibbous. Waning means getting smaller, and gibbous is the shape. Okay, so at that point, we actually had a lot of days go by. This was the 16th, there's noon, and then the 17th, there's noon, and it was cloudy this whole time because we had a big rainstorm. Thankfully, California is now out of the drought. Here's the 18th, and here's the 19th, still cloudy. We're having lots of rain. We're very grateful that we may have to end our water restriction and drought condition. That was the 20th. Here's the 21st. Okay, so the 21st, we keep going around, still in clouds. And on the 22nd, please move to the 22nd. The 22nd, the moon was over here, I'm assuming, from the way my dates spaced out in the room here. But it was not morning like this. It was actually, here's 6 p.m. on the 22nd. It was 9:30. So I was looking over here from here to here. That's what I could see in the sky. And I could not see the moon. Okay? So it must have been up on the other side over where I showed you. Then I did not have a chance to look at it again until 10 p.m. the next day. Please move to the 23rd. And so once again, there's what the moon would have looked like if I'd been able to look at it just before the sun rose or most of the day. But then I got out of work about 4, and after 4, I did not see it. What time did I look that day? I looked at 6 p.m. So 6 p.m. at sunset. Because the moon was on this side of the sun, I could not see it anymore once the sun had set. Okay, go ahead and move to the 24th. And once again, I didn't get a chance to look at the moon until 10 p.m. So I would have seen somewhere near a new moon, perhaps still a waning crescent there. Okay, and I was not able to look until 10 p.m. on the 24th. Go ahead and move to the 25th. 25th, I thought I'd get up early and look. I looked at 6 a.m. and did not see it. So all this time I did not know where the moon was because I'd only seen it twice. And so I didn't know when to look for it. And 6:50 a.m., you can see it's possible it was above the horizon, but behind some trees. Since I live in the city, I can't see all the way to the horizon. So it's possible by 6:50 it was just at the horizon. I just couldn't see it because of the trees and buildings. Okay, so then we kept going around. Then on the 26th, let me check my notes here. The 26th, I couldn't see the moon. And 26, go to the 26th, and it was 8 a.m. and I couldn't see the moon. So it must have been just past, so the sun rises about 6, maybe a little bit earlier or a little bit later, but it wasn't until sometime after 8 that the moon rose. Okay, it was probably a waxing crescent. You see the little tiny sliver. Let me zoom in on this for you. So you can see the little tiny sliver of light over there on the right. That's what I would have been able to see if I'd been able to look at the sky at the time it was in the sky. So as we keep going around, that was the 26th. Go ahead and move over to the 28th, because on the 27th it was cloudy, so there was no moon visible on the 27th. So then on the 28th, as the Earth was rotating, the moon was also moving around it. And so we take a look, and we see on that day we have a crescent there, getting a little bigger than the one we didn't see. So we see a fairly small crescent. You can see on the right side, the full circle on the outside, and the shadow, the arc there, kind of cuts off and makes a crescent shape. And it's getting bigger, so we'll call it a waxing crescent, because waxing means getting bigger. So then the next day at Jericho, please move out of the sun. This is not an eclipse. Okay, so then as we keep going around, we get to the 28th at 6:30 p.m. and about 30 degrees above the western horizon. I looked and saw this. I forgot I was zoomed in. Sorry, that might have made you dizzy. Okay, and that was visible there on the 28th. Okay, 30 degrees above the horizon at 8:30 p.m. Then the next day on 3-2, on 3-1, go ahead and move to 3-1. I'm sorry, 3-1 is the one that was visible at 8:30. So this moon here is what I saw at 8:30 on the 1st. The last one was what I saw at 6:30 on the 28th. Okay, so then go and keep going around there, Elijah. Here we have on March 2nd. March 2nd, I was able to see this moon at 6 p.m. You can see we've still got a crescent shape there, although it's getting close to half lit up. Okay, but you can see each day it's getting bigger, and so that's a waxing crescent. The next 2 days were cloudy. Let's zoom back out so it's not quite so dizzying. Okay, so here's the 3rd, it was cloudy. The 4th, it was cloudy. The 5th, here's midnight. Now we're on the 5th. It also is cloudy. And on the 6th, go and move over to the 6th. I did not see the moon, but my son, Elijah here, reported to me that he saw a first quarter moon right there, a half moon, he called it. I'll call it a first quarter moon. It's half lit up, so half moon makes sense. But I believe the name is first quarter. And that was, didn't write that down. Do you know what time that was, Elijah? When you saw that half moon?
It was like 6 or 5.
In the morning or in the evening?
Evening.
It was in the evening. Okay, so we saw that in the evening. So it was probably pretty close to directly overhead. If it was about 6 or 5, was it pretty much straight up? Or was it over by the horizon, or do you not remember? Okay. All right, so that was on the 6th. And then on the 7th, so here we go. Here's noon on the 7th. The sun is just setting. And then we see the 7th. Move over to the 7th, please. And so on the 7th, we see this shape. We can see we got the gibbous shape back again. But this time the half circle is on the right, and the left is the arc that is separating the light from the shadow. Okay? And now, since we had a half moon and now it's a gibbous, that means it's getting bigger. So we have a waxing gibbous on the 7th. That was the 7th at 7:23 p.m. There's midnight. We're now on the 8th. Elijah, we're now on the 8th. Okay, there's noon on the 8th. And at 5 p.m., just before it set, I looked over towards the eastern horizon, and about 30 degrees above the eastern horizon, saw this waxing gibbous. Once again, a little bigger than the other waxing gibbous, but you can see the dark part of the moon over there on the left. So the semicircle on the right and the partial arc on the left, making a gibbous shape. Okay, and then on the 9th, I was not able to view the moon. And then on the 10th, it should be over in the corner there. It looks like it got kicked. So on the 10th, here's the 10th. There's noon. Here's sunset. And then about 8, at about 50 degrees above the eastern horizon, we see what's approaching a full moon, but not quite. Hold that straight up, please, Elijah. Thank you. We can see a tiny bit of shaded moon over there on the left side, and the right side is the full semicircle. Okay, and so we still have the gibbous shape. As you can tell, this is much bigger than the last one, and therefore this is a waxing, meaning getting bigger, waxing gibbous. All right, thank you. That is our model of the moon and its phases, created with a wiffle ball, a room with a circular view in the dark, and a lantern being the sun. Jericho, would you like to say thank you for tuning in to Scientific Adventures of Beardman?
Thank you for finding in a band adventure 2 man.